Hey there, and welcome back to Patch Chat. I am Dr. Kayla Abide, and I want to go over a very common question that I have gotten along the LifeWave journey, and that is, why all of a sudden did I have symptoms, started patching, didn't have symptoms, and now they're back? Or another possibility, I didn't have symptoms at all, and I started patching, and now I have symptoms. So I want to go on a walk with you and a journey today to shifting your health paradigm, shifting your perspective, and a new take on healing that you may have just not come across yet. So I want to start off with an analogy, and this is from a LifeWave expert patcher and colleague of mine, Dr. John Harmon, who, if you are subscribed to the YouTube channel, you can go watch his incredible interview on my YouTube channel for you to see and experience the wisdom and powerhouse of knowledge that this man is. And so I want to walk you through this analogy. I want you to imagine that you have this incredible opportunity to purchase a 200-year-old family home that has been passed through your family. It has sat vacant for 2 or 3 decades, but this means so much to you and your family. And so you got it at the best deal, and you cannot wait to dive in and start getting to the bones of this house, because the bones and the foundation are solid and you're wanting to create it anew. And so you purchase this house, you go through the process, you hire all the contractors, you do all the design, you have all of the people who you need in your corner to make this house beautiful. So you open the doors, you get the keys, you walk in. And this house, even though the bones are great, even though it looks good, there's so much dust, there's so much dirt, there's so much grime, there's so much quote unquote work to be done. And so you start bringing in these contractors, you start bringing in these helpers, and they're facilitating this shift in your house from old to renewed again. You are regenerating, you are healing the bones of that house, right? And so that does not come without quote unquote a mess in the construction world. It doesn't come without dirt and grime and requiring house cleaners and requiring cleaning crew and demolishing things and breaking things down and rebuilding them back up to become anew. So this process may take several months or years depending on the size of the home, the size of the property, if the land needed tending to, right? There's so many phases and layers that we can go through land development, through home development, through renovation, through furnishes. It could take time to get furnishes in the house. It could take time, energy, and effort to accumulate the funding to be able to put into this project. You see where I'm going, right? Our physical vessel is no different. You may be experiencing what you believe is your peak vitality of health right now. But just because we don't have quote unquote symptoms doesn't automatically mean that we are immediately well. Think back to that house. If you just purchased that house and looked at it from the outside, and the outside had solid bones, but the inside was rotting, you would have purchased the home with good intention, thinking you didn't have much work to do on the outside because there was no signs and symptoms of what the house looked like on the inside. Our body is no different. And so when we start helping not just cover up symptoms with over-the-counter medication and drugs and even holistic supplements, we are actually getting to the root, to the bones, to the cellular frequency and vibration of our physical beings, and changing and shifting the enhancement and the vitality and the well-being that we are wanting to call in for our lives. And that's exactly what happens. And so it can be true, right? It can be true that you experience symptoms and you start patching, and you've been patching for 3 to 4 to 6 weeks, and then all of a sudden you hit this speed bump, like I call it, of healing, where you start to experience symptoms. Maybe you feel a bit yucky. Maybe you start to express health in a way that you just automatically revert to thinking, well, this just must mean that my body isn't working. The patches aren't working. And if we take that analogy in the housing situation, what if when there was all this dust and debris and they've taken out all of the kitchen and they've gutted everything, we just said, you know what? It's not working. The house would never be completed. You would never finish the build, i.e. you would never finish the transformation and the leveling up and the processes that ensue when you are rebuilding tissue, regenerating and repairing and age reversing who you are at a cellular level. So I like to open with that analogy because it gives us insight into exactly what the world has told us is the opposite. The world has told us that being sick or having symptoms are quote unquote bad or unhealthy, or it means that your body's broken. And I truly and genuinely believe the opposite. If you've never heard of the Germanic healing knowledge or Gemenische Heilkunde or German New Medicine, the 5 biological laws that exist on this planet that apply to humans, that apply to animals, that apply to plants, that apply to any living vessel, we have innate intelligence. We have the power of creation within us for our body to heal, to regenerate, to resolve, to overcome, and to return back to a normal state of tone and healing. And so if you are new to this idea of the 5 biological laws or Germanic healing knowledge, German New Medicine, I invite you to take my introductory course on my website, www.drkabide.com. You can click my link in bio and access that German New Medicine healing course. It is incredible to help shift that perspective and that health paradigm of who we are, who we were physiologically created to be, and why these patches work so incredibly well with our frequency, our vibration, our energetic beings, and our light bodies, because we are made up of light, frequency, and energy, and that is what the entire world is created of as well. So I want to dive just a little bit deeper on this topic for understanding why symptoms and expressing symptoms, although it may not be comfortable, and it may not be easy, and it may be intense, why you should keep going on the journey of patching. Because if we stopped at any point in our life when things got hard, what if we were on the precipice? We were literally on the last step before we walked into a brand new door. Taking the housing analogy, what if we just stopped that kitchen before we started working on the finishes and had the house cleaners come in and clean everything out? From a cellular perspective, that's exactly what's happening. We have to think we have trillions of cells in our bodies, and our bodies are regenerating every single 7 years completely anew. So think about that. Trillions of cells divided by 7 years, divided by 365 days in a year, divided by how many cells per hour are turning over in your body. If we are in a current state of healing, whatever that phase may be for you, maybe you aren't very well, maybe your health status isn't very great, or maybe you believe you're on the peak effort of vitality and health and well-being, our body still has to break down and rebuild tissue every single day. And it works just like an assembly line. We have cells that are dying off and being put into waste, and we have the garbage truck taking them out, and we have cells being built and branded anew to help restore and replenish. We know we are just as healthy as the cell that we just degraded. And so we know that cellular turnover, our body is wanting to heal. We are wanting to resolve the conflicts in our life. We are wanting to heal the tissues to become a better, healthier, more abundant version of ourselves. So when we start to have this breakdown of cells, we know from the LifeWave research that within the first 24 hours of putting on the X39 patch, we have 3,000 to 4,000 cells that are starting to regenerate, that are starting to turn over into new, healthier versions of themselves. You surmount that with every single day of doing that, your body is now having to get rid of tissues and degraded tissues and cellular waste. It is moving to a higher peak vitality and a higher potential of healing. You combine that with the 5 biological laws that our body wants to resolve things, and 90 to 95% of the time, our body will resolve the conflicts without even our conscious awareness, because that's how highly intelligent and high functioning and the power of our innate intelligence that lives inside of us wants to live a vital life. We don't want to merely survive. So when you're experiencing these symptoms and you're experiencing health expression, you're right. It can be completely and utterly yucky. It can run you down. It can encourage you to rest. It can encourage you to have to take several days off. But I encourage you to please keep going. If you stop now, that house is never going to be built. And my other favorite conversation to talk about also comes from Dr. John Harmon, who is, again, just an incredibly knowledgeable and communicative source in bringing this light into the world and how healing happens. And that is the idea that we all have this running list, really this running Rolodex in our head of all the things that we could potentially be, do or have in our life that we don't currently have. We could look a different way. We could be a certain different way. We could have certain things that are different in our life. But when we apply this to our health, we could all be our own worst critic and pick apart the things that we want more of, we want less of, we want to change, and we want to experience. And so when we think about all these things we want to achieve, we have this Rolodex of what needs to be checked off our list of boxes, of symptoms, in order for our life to fill in the blank, to be better, to have more, to experience. Maybe it's pain. Maybe it is, activities of daily living that you're not able to do. You always say to yourself, well, if I was pain-free, then I would fill in the blank. If I didn't have this quote-unquote dis-ease condition or experience in my life, then I could fill in the blank. If this is what you started patching for, I encourage you to keep going. Because we have this higher innate intelligence. We have a highly organized system of brain and nervous tissue that is working for us. And the idea that Dr. John talks about is, what do you not know about in your body? What do you have that you don't even have the ability to know right now what is going on in your system, because we're so fixated on this list of things we must change in order to, quote unquote, determine if we are well, right? My idea of wellness and health and vitality is much different from the next person. Even someone within the same paradigm of understanding of shifting of health and healing and vitality, even if they're also a chiropractor, we know that we all have these different ideals in our head for what health and vitality mean. And so when we look at ourselves as just this mere list of things in a check of a box that we have to check off in order to mean we are well, we are missing out on the things that our body is doing for us that may, and always, in my opinion, are connected to those things, of course, but they're of a higher vitality level in order to get you to that point. So let's go back to the house analogy. Right, let's say the stairs. There's a beautiful wraparound staircase that goes all the way from the first floor to the second floor. You are so ready to have your master bedroom on the second floor completed. You turn the second floor upside down. It is beautiful. And you forget about the stairs. And you decide, well, I think the upstairs is incredibly beautiful. I'm going to completely finish it, and it's going to be amazing. And as you start to use those stairs daily, they are weak. They are not able to withstand or sustain all of the transformation that you've had to utilize them for. If this in your experience is, let's say, your heart, but you are really wanting to lose weight, you would want your body to prioritize those stairs. You would want your body to prioritize the higher power of intelligence that it has that we aren't even privy to in our subconscious or conscious mind, because our body is highly intelligent. And so I invite you to follow the recommendations and beyond that LifeWave provides. LifeWave suggests patching 1 month for every decade you are alive. And I am going to challenge you. I challenge you to patch for 1 year consistently. Because think of a time in your life that you've done something consistently for a year that hasn't paid off. The odds are incredibly unlikely that you actually committed and completed something, committed to it for 1 year, and you got no results, right? And so I highly recommend that, I know you have this list and this priority system of what needs to change to mean you are well. But in the name of Dr. John Harmon, what do you have that you don't know about that needs to be healed, corrected, resolved first in order to make the biggest impact on the rest of that list? It's probably a staircase moment. It's probably a foundational thing that you need to look at that you haven't even been privy to, because your body is working on prioritizing that. And that's why your list keeps turning into a Rolodex of lots of things that you just don't understand why they're not healing and resolving. So I invite you to take a look at your symptoms with a new light. Shift your perspective and think, what is this symptom trying to teach me? What is this symptom trying to communicate to my body? What is this symptom trying to tell me? I have patchers all the time in my private practice, in my community, who start patching and they get immediate fantastic results, and they hit a speed bump. And they say, Doc, I'm so confused, I was doing so well. And my biggest tip is to keep going. What if on the other side of that door, that entire list vanishes? What if on the other side of that door, you get even more than you thought you signed up for? And those that keep going and keep pushing and push back the symptoms and push through the experience of resolution and healing, they always see even more vitality and more sunshine and more rainbows on the other side. Because life is about experiencing the journey of healing and not trying to arrive at healing as if it is a driveway that you park your car in and you've achieved it and you don't ever have to leave. Our bodies are highly intelligent and unfold and unwind and can continue tapping into our human potential and optimizing vitality more than you've ever been told in your life. And I highly recommend that you tune into that. You see how it feels in your body. You try it on for size, because when you tap into this potential, the possibilities are truly endless. Thank you so